financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and American Airlines was up big today, 41%, which is crazy for a company that we've all heard of. A lot of times you see these crazy numbers from like penny stocks and stocks that just aren't great, but this is news. This is huge, especially in a time where the entire stock market, at least today, was down pretty big. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what I think about American Airlines. Is this a good thing? Because 41% sounds great, but is it really? And then what you can learn as an investor looking to find out what some of the best investments are, where you should put your money, and then most importantly, how do we avoid losses or at least reduce those? So as we get into that, grab your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your TV, whatever it is you're watching this on. Go ahead, hit the share button. Let's get some more people in here. Let's continue to grow the message of financial literacy and investing. So I am going to do that now, and hopefully you can see the screen. I made sure that I could see it in a little preview, so let's pray that it works this time, because otherwise it's going to be a very difficult conversation without it. So I am scrolling, I'm testing. I can see the screen here, which is great. Go ahead, hit that share button. Let me do that, because I always practice what I preach, which is what we should always do. So hit the share button. I would greatly appreciate that. And share with friends. It always gives me some crazy stuff. All right. So again, I want to make sure that I am sharing, and it's not really letting me do that the way I want to. It always wants me to do a watch party, which I do not like doing. But again, you can host a watch party. So it's going to make me do it. I'll host a watch party and then hop out of it because I want to watch your comments and not my friends' comments. All right. So I have this propped up so I can see everything. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right. So we're talking about American Airlines. And this is not the only stock that popped pretty well today. Southwest, a lot of the airline industries. I didn't check the cruise lines. But there's something that we need to talk about and know. Context is very, very important. The other thing about this too is the time in which you invest changes everything. So my thing is always time in the market, not timing the market. So not trying to figure out, is now the absolute best time? Was it 2 weeks ago? Was it 3 weeks ago? That's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do and very, very hard to time. It looks like we lost the video feed, which is annoying, but whatever. So it's very difficult to do, which is why I don't do it. You don't have to sit here and point to a specific day and a specific hour and say this is the perfect time to invest. It's hard to time that. It's hard to get in and get out at the right time, which is why I'm more of a long-term investor, where I'm buying something and hopefully plan to own it for years to come, or I'm buying something and say, look, I'm gonna hold it for 6 months and then reevaluate. The key word is reevaluate. A lot of people say, look, I'm ready to sell it. I'm not somebody who just says just off and sell it. I am all for reevaluating and seeing whether or not this is a good time or if things are better or not. That's how I approach things. Now, when we talk about American Airlines, we need to understand, as I mentioned earlier, is context. If this stock went up 41% in a single day, what does that really mean? So if you bought this stock, May 7th, May 5th or 6th, if you bought it in early April, let's say April 3rd, you would have made a lot of money. You would have made a lot of money between now and then if you bought it within the last month. However, 2 months. If you bought it within the last 2 months. The thing though is, would you have been able to hold on to it during this period where it really didn't do much? It popped from 9 to 12, so you would have made you $3, times how many shares you had. But would you have been able to buy a stock and hold on to it for 60 days for this to occur? Some people would, most people in real life would not. The reason we know this is because this whole crash only happened over just a few weeks and people panicked with their 401k. So context is, realistically, would you have been able to buy something and hold it while it does absolutely nothing for 2 months and wait and hope that you get this 41% gain? Everybody in the world wouldn't be able to do that. Some could, some wouldn't. But the other thing is this. When you compare it to the S&P 500, and you've seen me do this before where I take, what is the average, right? If you go back and watch the videos I did back in April, watch the videos I did back in late May, my thing is, it has always been when it comes to the airline specifically, is not if these airlines are going to come back, not if they're going to make a lot of money. They made a lot of money today, right? 41% is hard to argue with. But is it going to be better than the overall stock market? That's the question, because I'm taking a lot of risk. As you can see here, this was a lot of risk to allow the stock to fall how many percentage points it fell to do this. I could have gotten an index fund that just stayed the course and not done anything. So let's compare it to the S&P 500. So we're going to hit S&P. I'm going to make this a large line, and we'll just make it this color. And this is what we see. So over the last 3 months, going back to the beginning of March, yes, American Airlines made you 41% today, but it's still down since March. There is still a little bit of room to climb before it breaks even and beats the overall stock market. So will American Airlines do this? I mean, by the looks of it, yes, it will at some point in time. At this rate, it'll be tomorrow. But realistically, we don't know if it's going to be up 41% tomorrow. I don't know. What we do know, though, is I could have still stayed. And you can see I didn't have to take these losses down here. I didn't have to go through that in these ups and crazy downs back and forth. I could have stayed in an index fund and been completely fine and actually made money over the last 3 months. Now, if I wanted to make money yesterday or make money today, the American Airlines would have been your answer. But we didn't see this. We knew the airlines were going to come back at some point. No one saw a 41% gain on June the 3rd, right? That's very difficult to predict. But also, again, context. If you are a long-term investor, some of you may be, some of you may not be, completely up to you. Again, is this something you're going to hold for 6 months? Is it something you're going to hold for a year? Is it something you're going to hold for 2 years? Let's take a look and see how American Airlines compares to that. So when we take context into it and we zoom out and we say, well, over the last 6 months, what happened? You can see here, American Airlines has a very long way to climb. That doesn't mean it won't get there. If the stock is going straight up, eventually it will, right? But we're not 100% sure. And as we see here with the S&P 500, this is the power of investing in index funds. In that, depending on what you're investing in, you're going to take those losses, but it's a lot better off than this one stock. That's the power of having 500 companies at your back than just hoping that one does. When we look at, let's just jump to 2 years, you can see if the results start to spread out. If you look at 5 years, you start to see the results spread out even more, where you could have made 41%, and American Airlines is still, you can kind of see this little curve down here where it's starting to come up a bit, but that's a long way to go over 5 years for it to even break even. So this is to say, remember that context is key. It's up 41% today, but it still has a ways to go where, before you break even. Because with an index fund, I could have sat back, invested, and made my little 4% over the last 3 months, or I can put my money in American Airlines and hope that it continues this crazy rise, which it may or it may not. But at this point in the game, in June, it might make more sense to invest in airlines and cruise lines than what it did 3 months ago. I personally am still staying out of it. We have, as you can see here, 1.8 million cases. We still don't have a cure. And with the way that people are out and about protesting, which I'm all for, clearly, the virus is not all for that. And you've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in New York, in very packed cities across the nation. That is going to have an impact in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And we'll see how well these stocks do then. Again, I don't know, but I know I go with what's working for the long term, and that's the S&P 500. So 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, we see that the overall stock market, the index, the S&P 500, they're all the same, has outpaced American Airlines. We can also see if we add love, which was if I were going to buy an airline, I would have bought Southwest, and you'll see that Southwest looks a bit different. Southwest will probably, and again, you never know how these things are going to break. Southwest will probably do better quicker than American Airlines. We'll see. Southwest did not have a 41% bounce today, but it did do well. If I go to 2 years, you see Southwest has a much smaller gap to cover. If I go to 5 years, you'll see probably Southwest will be a lot closer, if not beat the index. Only down 2% over the last 5 years. And for a very good chunk, Southwest was actually better than the market, as you can see here. So again, it all depends on what you're looking for. Again, I am personally staying out of it. If I have to get one, I'm probably going to get Southwest. If I have to get one, I'm probably going to look at Boeing. American Airlines, you can't deny they had a very, very good day. But there's a phrase that I like that says a dead clock is right twice a day. And, if you got lucky and bought down here within the last month, that is amazing. And I'm happy for you because you held on to it. And what most people do is they bought low, in let's say March, right? They bought low at March when it was at 15 and it dropped down to April 3rd and they let go of it. That's what a lot of people do. Say, well, I bought low, and then you waited 2, 3, 4 weeks and nothing happened. People bought low on May 7th or May 6th and waited until the end of May and sold. Not the end of May. Because it's June now. So the end of May and sold and didn't get anything out of it. Very, very rarely would someone have bought here on April 6th and held it for 60 days until they saw this amazing day today. So that's always the thing. You want to make sure that you have context, understand what's going on, and then have the right frame of mind. Because someone who's putting in $100 today, that might work. It might work. I don't know what's going to do tomorrow. If it makes 41% tomorrow, that's great because you never know. But if it doesn't, then you have to decide, am I going to wait, 60 days, 3 months, a year until this starts to pay off? Or am I going to not do this and do something that is a little bit more proven, a little bit more solid? It's all about investing style. Do you want something that is relatively smooth, as you see at the top? Or do you want something that's a little more bumpy, but that can pay off in times like this? All right, so I will stick around for a few questions. I just wanted to give you some context about what is going on and why you may or may not want to invest in American Airlines. Again, I've given you my position on how I feel about it. You also want to sign up with the link above. I'm sending an email about just general about the stock market that you need to know for tomorrow so that you can figure out where you want to invest, how you want to invest, and then what's going to make the most sense for you. So make sure you sign up for the email. Make sure you share the video. And I'm going to stick around for 2 questions, if you have any, about American Airlines, about anything else that's out there. If we can keep it travel related, that's great, since that's what we are talking about today. But if not, DraftKings, whatever, feel free to throw that out and we can discuss that. So yeah, I'll stick around for a few minutes. This is also reminding me that I should upload this to YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, y'all, but I haven't. I'm not consistent there. I'm consistent here. I just need to pull it down, put it together, upload it. So I will do that tonight. All right, so I don't see any questions. If you have any, pop those into the chat and I will let y'all know. Other than that, thank you guys for coming out, and I will see y'all on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. All right, so see ya. Bye.